Folklore 17. Icarus Daedalus Mythic Wings. In ancient Greek mythology, the story of Icarus and Daedalus rises from the island of Crete, a place of kings, secrets, and impossible inventions. Daedalus was known as a master craftsman, inventor, architect, and sculptor, a man whose intelligence could solve problems that ordinary people feared. He served King Minos of Crete and built the famous labyrinth, a giant, confusing maze with hundreds of winding paths. This invention was so complicated that even Daedalus himself almost got lost trying to escape it. But the same genius that made Daedalus useful also made him dangerous to powerful men. Because he knew too much about the labyrinth and its secrets, Daedalus and his young son, Icarus, were trapped under the control of King Minos. For Daedalus, prison was not only a place with walls, it was a challenge for the mind. Escape by land was impossible, and escape by sea was blocked by the power of Minos. So Daedalus looked upward, toward the open sky, where birds moved freely above human rules. He gathered feathers and joined them carefully with thread and wax, arranging the feathers in a row from smallest to largest, just like the wing of a real bird. He shaped 2 pairs of wings, one for himself and one for Icarus. These wings were more than tools. They were symbols of invention, hope, and freedom. Yet Daedalus understood that every invention has limits, and every dream needs wisdom. Before they began their dangerous flight, Daedalus gave his son a clear warning. Icarus must not fly too low, because the sea could wet the feathers and make the wings heavy. He must not fly too high, because the heat of the sun could melt the wax that held the feathers together. This warning was simple, but it carried the heart of the myth. Daedalus was telling his son to follow the middle path, a safe route that avoids extremes. Icarus listened, but he was young, excited, and full of wonder. For the first time, he was not walking like a prisoner. He was flying like a bird. At first, the escape was successful. Father and son rose into the air, leaving Crete behind them, and the world below grew smaller. Icarus felt the wind around him and the joy of rising higher than any human should. Slowly, he forgot his father's voice and flew closer to the sun. The wax began to soften, then melt. One by one, the feathers broke apart, and his wings lost their power. Icarus plunged, falling violently and helplessly, from the bright sky into the dark sea below. Daedalus survived the flight, but his victory became a tragedy, because his invention saved his body but could not save his son. The story of Icarus and Daedalus has remained famous because it teaches through a clear and unforgettable image, a boy flying too close to the sun. The wings symbolize human creativity. The wax shows fragility. The sun represents danger and pride. And the sea becomes the final price of disobedience. Icarus is not remembered only because he dreamed, but because he ignored wise limits. Daedalus represents the power of intelligence, but also the pain of responsibility. Even today, people say, "Do not fly too close to the sun." In English, we use this to describe hubris, which means having too much pride or overconfidence. It reminds us that ambition is beautiful, but without wisdom, it can become destruction.